One day, while exploring the moon Kreet, which orbits Ansalon in the Narian system deep in the Freestar Collective space, we discover an abandoned research lab. We come here as part of the primary plot to hunt down the Crimson Fleet so that they'll stop pursuing our ship. However, when we arrive at the Kreet research lab, we begin to uncover another story. Almost immediately, we realize that the research lab looks like a United Colonies building. It has United Colonies architecture, United Colonies scrap and furniture. It's even emblazoned with United Colonies logos, as Vasco points out when we enter.
Curious, these are United Colonies markings, but we are in Freestar Collective space. It then stands to reason that this was once a secret UC facility.
And he's right, we're in Freestar Collective space. The UC could get in big trouble for creating an illegal lab on a moon in Freestar Collective space. It could even lead to war. What was the UC doing here? Moving through the entrance, we find it in complete disarray. Lab equipment lies all over the place, and we even find a Heatleech in a locker.
We must defeat them.
Moving forward, we head up some stairs and through a corridor. On one desk, we find some credit sticks and digipicks. After looting a first aid kit on a wall, we head up even more stairs and round a corner to enter storage. And it's here in one of the closets that we find a corpse. This is the body of a scientist, but it looks pretty old. It's gray. It hasn't fully decomposed yet, but the blood spatter on the ground is dark red and dried. These guys weren't killed recently. They weren't killed by the Crimson Fleet. How exactly did the scientists at this lab die? In a box above his body, we find some credits. Out of the closet and moving through storage, we open a door at the very end. We begin to hear voices from the pirates.
Who gave me the code to the evidence lockup? Did they pay? What?
But even though I was trying to be sneaky, somehow they spotted me, probably through the glass of the door.
Enemy damage registered. Enemy annihilated.
Idiot! Well, now look at you!
It would be wise to search the enemy's remains for valuables.
After killing the pirates, we can head back into the room where they first spotted us. Looks like this was a kitchen or cold storage. We found a number of refrigerators here. Of note, there are 2 pharmaceutical kits on a wall with first aid inside. This kitchen area leads to a cafeteria of sorts, the tables of which are bedecked with food and all sorts of utensils. At this point, I was carrying so much food I became encumbered, and I had to transfer it over to Vasco. At the end of the cafeteria, we find a door to the living quarters. Through the door and up the stairs, we round a corner to find a long hallway. And as we enter, we hear a voice.
The terror morphe's loose! I repeat, the terror morphe's loose! Do not engage! If you can reach Oh, man! That was the best! Classic United Colonies. Put something in a cage until it kills you. One more time!
The pirates appear to be watching some sort of security footage they found in the lab, and they're playing it on repeat. Immediately to the left, we find one of the scientists' barracks. In this room, we find a computer, and on it, 8 entries. In the first, New Beginnings, Hayden Wynn Personal Journal, January 13th, 2306. I can't believe it. I got the posting. The United Colonies Xeno Warfare Division is now official. I can't even imagine the amount of red tape they had to cut through at MAST, but it's long overdue, and I get to be a part of it from the ground up. My official title will be Associate Xenobiology Technician, and I ship out in 3 days. Amanda is upset, but I assured her that I'll have plenty of leave and will be back in New Atlantis all the time. I'm still not sure where I'm going, definitely somewhere in United Colonies space. Guess I'll find out when I get there. And yet we find this in Freestar Collective space. Clearly this didn't go according to plan. In the next one, February 6th, 2305, Candidate 1. I got our first extraterrestrial candidate today, what appeared to be an alien form of Leucauge venusta, essentially a giant spider. Mickelson, in full protective gear, attempted to attach the Neural Control Interface, NCI. Our security detail is still trying to remove him from the cocoon, and we had no choice but to put down the creature. A minor setback. None of us expected success on the first try. I heard Dr. Paulson tell the others that a detachment of United Colonies Marines is scheduled to deliver another creature next Thursday. So the United Colonies are trying to control alien life for use in battle, much in the way the Enclave from the Fallout universe tried to use the Deathclaw control scrambler to control Deathclaws for use in combat. Looks like Candidate 1 was a failure, but we can now move on to the next entry, May 5th, 2305, Ashta specimen. I'm not sure how they managed it, but the UC Marines actually managed to bring us an Ashta. It's not that the Ashta is a terrifying beast and natural predator. Those are both exceptional and wonderful qualities and essential to the work we're doing here. It's that the Ashta is native to the planet Aquila in the Cheyenne system. Aquila, home to Aquila City, capital of the Freestar Collective. Leave it to a group of ground pounders to grab a candidate right from the enemy's backyard. Though it does beg the question, have Freestar Collective scientists managed to weaponize their greatest natural predator? If so, our timetable just got accelerated. He's theorizing that the Freestar Collective might be doing what they're doing. So far, he doesn't have any evidence yet. In the next one, May 7th, 2305, Trial Failure. My fears that our Freestar Collective counterparts have managed to weaponize the Ashta have been completely dispelled. After the Michelson debacle, we determined the NCI should only be attached under full sedation, so that wasn't an issue. The problem started immediately afterward. The Ashta proved incredibly resistant to synchronization, and we never achieved control fidelity beyond 47%. Dr. Chin's arm was nearly ripped off 5 minutes into the first trial. In short, the Ashta simply can't be controlled. If not by us, then certainly not by the Freestar Collective. Dr. Paulson has been in touch with Colonel Kasarov. Looks like the Marines will have another species collected and dropped off by this time next week. In the next one, May 12th, 2305, more disappointment. Another creature, another failure. No fault of the UC ground pounders. We wanted a predator, and they delivered. These things were so alien, Paulson had a difficult time deciding on a designation. Opted for Reptans venenum. Shame we couldn't properly sync the NCI. These things would have been spectacular, especially the poison. In the next one, May 5th, 2305, new specimens. Marines dropped another few specimens off this morning, totally unscheduled. Best way to describe them? They're arthropods, the alien equivalent of Homerus gammarus. Basically, giant space lobsters. Very promising giant space lobsters. I'm not entirely sure where the UC grunts found these particular test subjects. Some godforsaken backwater rock, I imagine. After the third or fourth unsuccessful trial, I stopped asking. None of those earlier species could be controlled with any reliability. As noted in my earlier logs, their natural aggressiveness made them effective weapons, but a bullet is less than useless if the gun keeps turning itself on the shooter. But these new creatures possess a perfect natural disposition, non-aggressive, even docile, yet capable of defending themselves with deadly efficiency when threatened. And when they do go on the attack, they're terrifying. So we'll see. And in the last one, August 1st, 2305, relocation. We are moving, packing up shop and transitioning the entire operation. It's happened so fast, my head is spinning. The work on the arthropods has been so successful, we're actually relocating to their home world. We'll have an unlimited supply of creatures for the Xeno-Warfare Division. I've been named Senior Xenobiologist. That means I'll be running the entire facility. My first instinct was to tell Amanda. I'm still not used to her not being there. I'll give Mickelson credit. The guy really went to bat for me. He let the masked brass know that it was my work tuning the neural control interface that was instrumental in controlling the arthropod. I guess Paulson is being forced to retire. Good riddance. Wynn's entries on this terminal were written while this lab was working in UC space. But the reason they're here in Freestar Collective space is because they needed to work on the planet where they found the most promising candidate for their xeno-warfare division. So the creature they're experimenting with is native to this planet, and it's an arthropod. Looks kind of like a giant space lobster. Which means that the creature he was experimenting on is likely a Kreet stalker. We find these guys just outside the lab and all over Kreet. They're big, they look like giant lobsters, and when they get close, they pack a punch. So it's best to keep them at a distance. However, they do burrow into the ground like rad scorpions, popping up nearby, so we gotta jump around a bit. But if the United Colonies could command a battalion of mind-controlled Kreet stalkers in combat, that would be terrifying. Backing out of the terminal, we can loot a variety of food in this room. This barracks has 3 bedrooms here and 3 lockers. In one of the bedrooms, we find a novice locked safe. After picking it with some digipicks, we find energy ammo, ballistic ammo, credits, and an Eon pistol. After looting a first aid kit on the wall, we can head back to the hallway. The first door to the right leads to a communal living area. We find chairs and games, a coffee machine, and a bunch more lockers. There is an ammo case at the far end of this room, filled with ammunition, and a weapon rack directly above it, with an Eon and a Grendel. Above the sink, we find a whiteboard. Your turn to do the dishes, dumbass. Clearly everyone at this lab was respectful of each other. And that's it for the communal area. So back to the hallway, we move down until we find a door to the left, but it's blocked on the other side and we can't open it. So continuing forward, we see a large room ahead of us and a little nook to the left. In the little nook is a first aid kit and 2 ammo cases on the ground, a large one and a small one. Creeping into the room, we are spotted by the pirates.
The heck? Light 'em up!
But a grenade does the trick. However, this room is filled with pirates. And before we can explore it, we need to clear it. So racing through, we can clear all hostiles.
I can't see!
Get up! Get up!
I am not picking up the enemy on my scanner.
What? Hey! Well, that guy just sat there watching us murder his friends. Okay then. With the room cleared, we can retrace our steps back towards where we were. And along the way, we find the body of another scientist. It lies next to a tipped-over table with animal claw marks running through it. We immediately understand what happened here and why all of these scientists are dead. This room appeared to be Specimen Containment. One of the glass cages is smashed open, and there are claw marks all over the walls. The claw marks are on the ground, on the railings, on the stairs. Something went wild in here. We see a number of other specimens in glass containers that aren't broken open, but these don't appear to be living specimens. Back to where we were, we can begin to explore this large room. There are lots of desks littered with clutter and notebooks and stuff. We find another scientist body on the ground next to a whiteboard that is covered in blood spatter, to the point where we can't even read it. On this body are some credits and a digipick. There's another scientist body lying by a blue crate with Chunks Potato on his inventory. Another body slumped against a chest. We find uranium on his inventory, then another one stuffed inside a container with credits and digipicks. Towards the stairs that lead out of here, we find a weapon case with a rattler and ammunition. After looting some healing paste, we find another computer. On this terminal, we find 4 entries. In the first one, February 11th, 2307, 2 years after the entries we read in the previous terminal, Project Petshop, again by Hayden Wynn, now senior xenobiologist. My staff and I just arrived this morning, and I'm not surprised to find the facility completely operational. As usual, the United Colonies spared no expense. It's all very exciting. inspirational, really, knowing you have the full support of the decision makers. I have to admit, I was surprised to learn that the lab is a closely guarded secret, located in Freestar Collective space, no less. But we go where the work takes us. Xeno-warfare is the evolution of armed ground conflict. We know it, and the Freestar Collective surely knows it as well. Forget what the calendar says. This is 1942 all over again. We may as well be the Manhattan Project, racing to create the game changer before the other side. So, to that effect, I am overjoyed to officially announce Project Petshop Phase 1 is a go. Of course, he had to give it a spicy code name. It can't just be a Xeno-warfare project now. It's got to be Project Petshop. You got to say, it's got a good ring to it. In the next one, March 3rd, 2307, Arthropods. The Arthropods are, in a word, incredible. Calm, easy to work with, and they even allow themselves to be fitted with the NCIs without much trouble. Synchronization has, thus far, been nearly instantaneous, and their control fidelity has remained in the 95 to 97% range. They've passed all environmental survivability tests as well. Hot, cold, low, or no oxygen, I'm pretty sure these things could operate effectively in any environment. Most promising is how well they've already integrated with the Red Devils, who have joined us for a period of extended training. After all, they'll be leading the creatures into combat, so it's critical they establish a war bond. Whoa, wait a minute, what are the Red Devils? They're not UC Marines. What are they, like a mercenary group that the UC hires to do their dirty business? In the next one, August 7th, 2307, Success. After months of testing a variety of extraterrestrial species, I'm overjoyed to report that we have finally found a species that will serve as the backbone of the United Colonies Xeno-Warfare Division. The Arthropods are everything we hoped for and more. Imagine a pack of alien beasts suited to any terrain, capable of instantly obeying any command. I've designated these beasts Obedientes Paz, but we just call them Stalkers. I think it may be finally time to crack open that bottle of Chateau Avignon 2170. And just as we learned earlier, the creatures they've been experimenting on are indeed the Stalkers. In the next one, August 12th, 2307, the Red Devils. The Red Devils' progress with the Stalkers has been nothing less than amazing. Now I see why they're so highly regarded in UC military circles. None of the rah-rah bullcrap you see with the regular grunts. These are focused professionals. Okay, so maybe they're not mercenaries, but an elite strike team within the UC military. After another week of training here in the pet shop, I'm confident they'll be ready for a live test in the field. Mickelson suggests I contact Colonel Kasarov and find out where his Marines grabbed that spider from the early trials. He wants his comeuppance, but then it would make for a good trial. Okay, so as we learned in the first terminal, one of their first experiments was with some sort of spider creature. They were unsuccessful, they had to end up killing it, but not before the spider wrapped Mickelson up in a cocoon. I guess he wants revenge. While they were successful with these stalkers, maybe now they can be successful with those spider things. We find a final body on the way to the staircase. On his corpse are credits, Heart Plus, and some nutrient. Heading up the stairs, we find another UC logo spray painted on the wall. This appears to be another leisure section, a snack room maybe. We find a coffee machine, a number of vending machines, and plenty of seating. We find more scientist bodies and more claw marks on the ground. In a lab to the left, we find a weapon case with an Equinox inside. There's food in a cooler and a first aid kit on the ground. Back out to the hallway, we find a storage box with loot inside, and continuing forward, we find a door at the far end of this sprawling upper lab. There is another scientist corpse on the ground, holding credits and cereal. There's plenty of lab equipment and scrap, and we find a pharmaceutical lab workbench here that we can use to craft medicine. After looting absolutely everything up here, and a final scientist body by the door, we can open the door to exit. The door leads to Research O2, and immediately we hear something.
Listen up. We got someone trying to jump our school. Hold them off here while Brogan sets up on the roof. I'm on it. No one's getting through.
Alright, so it sounds like we can't learn anything else about what happened here from the pirates. They're no longer talking about the scientists. They're now focused on us. They know we're here. Rounding the corner, we can take them out.
What? You're not done yet! Taking fire! I'm out of here!
With the pirates dead, we can retrace our steps back to where we were to begin exploring. There are a number of side rooms. On this lower level, one has a storage box inside. Another has plenty of scrap inside. We find blood spatter outside the door leading to Lab 1. Inside, we find a few specimens in giant tanks, but no bodies inside. At last, we find the owner of the blood, a scientist lying on the ground. There are smears of blood below him and claw marks as if he had been dragged. Next, we find a door to testing 1, but it's locked with a novice lock. We've got to pick it. Once done, we find a bunch of lab equipment and another computer, Hayden Wynn's Project Terminal. Inside, we find 4 entries. In the first one, February 5th, 2308, a year later, War, by Hayden Wynn, Senior Xenobiologist. We're at war. By establishing the colony of Vesta, the Freestar Collective have forced the UC's hand. The unmitigated gall, thinking they could establish control over a 4th star system. Such a flagrant violation of the Treaty of Nerion. Our diplomats tried to resolve this peacefully, but the Council of Governors wouldn't listen to reason. Apparently, they claimed that Vesta was not a colony, but rather just an insignificant farming outpost. Nice try. By all accounts, the Red Devils and Stalkers worked in perfect unison, and the results were everything we could have hoped for. No Red Devil or Stalker casualties. Vesta's defenders were apparently taken by complete surprise, which greatly contributed to their fatality rate of 93%. Good God. This is a great day for the Red Devils, a great day for the United Colonies, and a great day for Xeno warfare. Note, no, it's not lost on me that this classified facility is actually located within Freestar Collective space. So goes the great game. He's sitting here pissed off that the Freestar Collective established a colony on a 4th star system while he's operating out of a secret UC facility in Freestar Collective space. The irony. A flagrant violation of the Treaty of Nerion indeed. Now, our story begins in 2330. This terminal entry was written in 2308. This xeno-warfare program was started in 2305. This war that Hayden Wynn is talking about in this terminal entry ends only a few years later in 2311. Despite Hayden's boasting here, it's actually the Freestar Collective that defeats the United Colonies in space combat using a bunch of civilian ships. The Treaty of Nerion that he alluded to here was signed between the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies in 2216, so a very long time ago. And we don't really know, but based on this entry, we can presume that violation of the treaty would mean establishing an outpost or a research lab on enemy faction territory, or expanding your influence onto other planets not already owned in the system. In the next one, April 5th, 2308, Phase 2. It's finally time. After a number of successful missions with the Red Devils, the Stalkers have proven to be exactly the weapon we had hoped for. So, it's time to expand our operations. MAST has finally approved the next stage of this facility's operations. Project Petshop Phase 2 will now commence. In the next one, April 18th, 2308, Stalkers. I've officially stopped work on the Stalkers. There are enough creatures in the field to serve the Red Devils who haven't been here to train in over a year. If they need more, we can easily gather some from the planet and fit them with NCIs. But from this point on, our focus is Phase 2. And in the last one, May 1st, 2308, Heatleeches. Throughout the settled systems, from civilized worlds to backwater bush towns, pilots have had to deal with the nuisance known commonly as the Heatleech. I had my own unpleasant experience 4 years ago at the New Atlanta spaceport. My transport was delayed while the deck crew removed a few of these filthy little things from the aft thrusters. They're attracted to heat, feed off of it through some endothermic process, so thrusters are the perfect place for them to hide. They can take a full afterburner burst with no ill effects. No ill effects on the heat leeches, that is. A ship with an infestation can generally expect a 3 to 5% drop in thruster efficiency. Working with the heat leeches has been interesting, if not entirely satisfying. We have 11 of them in the lab, and by all accounts they're completely innocuous, save for their heat siphoning properties. But what if there were a way to weaponize them? Perhaps artificially enhance their heat siphoning to completely and instantly disable a ship. Or even better, to somehow reverse the process so that they transfer their own heat into a ship. Someday. Today, I fear, we lack the means to do either. Well, that might explain why we found a heat leech in a fridge at the very beginning of this facility. And even though this was written a long time ago, we learned from exploring on Mars that heat leeches are still a problem to this day.
Heat leeches in the engine, leeches on the hull, multiple leeches in the grav drive.
Suppose that would explain the brownouts. So, what's this going to run?
If there are no other surprises, mid-5 figures.
5 figures? 5? Fine. Do it. I'll be at the bar. Find me when it's done.
We're on it, sir.
Backing out of the terminal, we can finish looting this room. On a desk, we find some credits and a novice-locked safe. After hacking it, we find ammo, a modified Kraken, and some scrap. With the bottom floor of this lab explored and all the dead scientists looted, we can head up the stairs to finish exploring this top section. There's a lot of equipment up here. We find cages that have been clearly used to transport specimens for this project. In one of the labs, we learned that staff was out of half and half. That's a tragedy. And here on the ground in this lab, we find the corpse of Hayden Wynn. He doesn't look too bad for his body being 20 years old at this point. Above his corpse is a coffee mug. I put the I in team. Yeah, we already know that he's clearly full of himself. On Hayden's desk, we find another credit stick. And next to it, Dr. Wynn's emergency slate.
It's loose. The Terramorph is loose. We can't stop it. When we tried to sync with the neural control interface, it just completely flipped out. Broke through its containment chamber like it was made out of paper. It killed Michelson, Cobb, and Sumatri in all of 1 minute. I'm not even sure where it is now. It took off deeper into the facility. A security detail went in after it, but good friggin' luck. When I know it's safe, I'm going to make a run for the comm relay. Try to call in the cavalry. This is Hayden Wynn, lead xenobiologist. Wishing he had gone to dentist school like his parents wanted.
Well, he was really proud of his work, up until one of the creatures got loose. Now he wishes he was a dentist. Also on the desk is his terminal. Inside we find 2 entries. In the first, August 15th, 2110, Terramorph specimen. Thanks to the UC Marines, we now have the second piece of the puzzle, a fully grown alpha predator. According to my research, a group of astrogeologists made first contact nearly 100 years ago on some remote moon. The creature didn't appear to be indigenous and was alone. There's currently no record of how it got there, so it was sheer cosmic chance that the astrogeologists found it. Or rather, it found them. Scientists were quick to categorize it Achezio Machina, roughly killing machine. The UC Marines tasked with taking it down chose a simpler name, Terramorph. I read the official record once. Of the 8-person squad, only 2 of the grunts survived, and one of those 2 lost a leg. Such an exciting time to be in Xeno warfare. In the next one, August 20th, 2310, NCI fitting today. Today we fit the Terramorph with the NCI. If our experience when the grunts first dropped off the creature is any indication, our sedation window will be around 15 minutes. We'd better make them count. And this is his last terminal entry. We can conclude then that fitting the NCI to the Terramorph had the same effect as fitting the NCI to the spider creature. It made it go crazy. and it's the Terrormorph that wreaked havoc on this lab, killing everyone in 2310, exactly 20 years ago. Backing out of this terminal, we find a novice-locked ammo case on a cabinet with goodies inside. Then, with this top floor explored, we can open a door to storage.
I'm detecting a safe nearby. We could make use of whatever is inside, provided you had some digipics and a disregard for personal property rights.
Thank you, Vasco. You know me well. I mean, since everyone who owned anything at this lab died 20 years ago, I'm not terribly concerned with personal property rights. As we get closer to the safe, we find a Heatleech. We find the body of a scientist right next to the safe, and lying on top of it is Dr. Wynn's emergency slate number 2.
You're dead. We're all dead. The comms relay has been trashed. The whole room is trashed. We can't call for help. I can hear the Terrormorph roaring somewhere. And more people screaming.
And it's as we suspected. The safe is locked with a novice lock. We can easily pick this with our digipicks. Inside we find ammo, some credits, and the history of xenobiology, which is not a unique document to this dungeon. We find it all over the galaxy. To leave the base, we climb a ladder. We arrive in a storage room, and here we find a bunch of goodies, 2 first aid boxes on the ground, and a science crate with an epic weapon inside, some digipicks, a bunch of ammo and consumables. And with that, we have fully explored the Kreet Research Lab. By stepping out this door, we simply continue with the primary quest. We face off with Brogan, the pirate boss of the Crimson Fleet. We can either talk our way out of it or attack him. I chose to attack him. I really wanted to find one of these Terrormorphs, but as this event took place 20 years ago, it's likely long gone. I tried exploring the moon a little bit, but I never ran into the Terrormorph. So it looks like we'll have to bump into that creature some other time. What are your thoughts on this Starfield story? Are you eager to learn more about the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective? Would you like to see more lore videos like this one? Let me know in the comments section below. I publish new lore videos each and every week, and I host multiple live streams each week. I'm currently focusing on Starfield, so if you want to see me capture this footage live, be sure to subscribe and click that bell notification button. I've got Ox merch with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find my designs on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in another way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members gain access to little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos, and they can use ox emojis in my video comments or in the live chats of my live streams. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you soon with a new lore video on Starfield.
Interested in making some credits?